Hello, it's Edward Earl, CEO Growth Team, here with Rasmussen Ironworks and Solera Grills at the HPBA show, and I'm here with Dave Allen. Dave, thanks for being on the show. Appreciate you. Give me an idea. We're here at the show. It's a fantastic show. A lot of folks. We're starting to calm down on the last day a little bit, but name of the company, what do you guys do, and give us a little history.
Well, the name of my business is Plainwell Brass, and we've been around. We're celebrating our 59th year in business this year. It started out with my predecessor selling actually brass fittings to LP gas customers,
right,
which were the dealers, like I say, 59 years ago, out of the back of a station wagon.
Interesting.
And to now today, we're in an 8,000 square foot building plus another building that we use for storage. So we've started out as a plumbing business, primarily wholesale plumbing. Then from there, one of our big product lines was LB White Heaters, which is a farm heater.
Right.
With a farm business going down, I was looking for a substitute for our business. And happened to come in with Rasmussen, and that was 17 years ago, and ever since I've just felt they have the best product on the market for what they're doing. And that's how we started, and now we are selling fireplaces, log sets from Rasmussen. We're in several companies with the fireplaces. So it's just evolved over the years, and it's become a primary part of our business.
It's interesting in this industry, you see a lot of folks that come into the industry doing one thing, and in an effort to innovate their organization and stay financially stable and keep moving, they start adjusting what they do in a real entrepreneurial fashion as a response to what maybe the economy or the industry is doing, and then they end up in this business, and then all of a sudden it starts to grow from there. It seems like that is what happened to your organization also.
Correct. It's just evolved over the years with us getting more and more involved in the fireplace business. So especially about the cooler months from October through February, I'm really busy every day in that part of our business.
Now you guys are sales and service then, I guess.
Yes, we have people that do service work for us, and one of them he's got 40 years experience in the LP gas business, so he really understands all of that, and he's my primary person, and then I have two other firms that do a lot of the service work for us. Because being the type of business we are small enough that we don't have a full-time man just to do service work.
But you've got that relationship with some really high-end experts.
Yeah, I don't want callbacks.
Why is that? Because that's really the issue. I think a lot of times when people come into this industry, because we're part of the fashion industry, we see the log sets, everything is gorgeous. It doesn't matter if it's a knockoff from an Asian contingent, it still all looks absolutely beautiful. But beyond that, there's a lot more to this business than I think a lot of customers realize. There are so many other dynamics than just what it looks like and purchasing off a shelf. There is a major service aspect to it that they don't figure out, and how do you overcome that or get people to understand that that's really what the purchase is all about?
Well, a lot of times your typical box store, as we call it, have products that are your knockoff products. For one thing, usually they don't know anything about the products. It's just like, here, take it home, you put it in, or find somebody to put it in for you. Or what we've done that's different from box stores and other service-oriented businesses like ours, we will go with the people until it's installed and operating properly, and they understand what they need to do with the product to enjoy it, and hopefully without any problems.
Yeah, it's interesting as a relation when home theater and home audio first came out, not those installations where the speakers were in the walls, but prior to that, I remember going and buying a big Mitsubishi TV and all the components, and I thought, I'm not a stupid guy, I'll figure this out. My dad's an AV guy, I got some buddies. We bought all this equipment, we put it in the house, we couldn't figure out how to use the clicker, how to get everything hooked up, and then finally after a while I realized I need to go talk to somebody that actually knows what this stuff is, because it's very similar. We seem to get enthralled by the beauty of everything that we're looking at in this industry, and that compensates for the fact that there is a practical application, and especially a need for service and a serious amount of expertise and knowledge that makes a big difference, that makes that thing where we can put it in there and never think about it again.
Right. One of the good things about doing that, I find too, is that the most important thing I think that we get, other than representing great companies, is that the reputation that you build by doing the service and follow through and trying to work with people and give them the knowledge when they first come in. Many people that come in our store will walk in and say, I think I want a fireplace.
Right.
And that's where we start. So we go through and explain different types of fireplaces. If they have a fireplace, but they moved into a home, they don't know what to do with it, they don't think they want to burn wood. Okay, so now we have these options that we can go with. But I sit there and I explain each different option to them. So when they walk out the door, they feel comfortable, whether they buy from us or not, they're going to feel comfortable that they've learned a lot about a fireplace, per se, whether it's logs, whether it's an insert, whether they're starting from scratch and putting a fireplace in their home, whether it's gas or if it's wood, whether it's decorative, whether it's a high efficiency. So there's a lot of things to fireplaces that I've learned over the years just from learning from people like Rasmussen that will teach us. And then there's still a lot that I don't know, so I have them as my backup.
Yeah, these guys they've done things that, from looking at their logs on the Academy Awards and all over the place, and some of the biggest installations and custom installations literally in the world.
Correct.
I know these guys are making for one of my homes 6 and 8 foot custom gas logs. I've got a very large
I would
walk-in
say that's
fireplace.
a very large fireplace.
And these are the only guys that can pull that off. And I've got a place in Utah that's for that. But it is interesting that in this circumstance there are so many variables when people walk in, and I think that there's a misconception in the industry that the specialty retailers are where you get really high price kind of used car sales tactics, and that's absolutely not the case in this industry. It's where you come and say, help me figure out what this is and what it's supposed to be and what my options are, and yet you get to actually get educated and talk to people that really know how to get you what you need.
Correct. And just for instance, with their product, for instance, it starts out with the new Easy Valve, where they can start out with a manual gas valve and then switch later with very little problem of switching to 2 different types of remotes.
Right.
So with that, they can start out at this price and then add later if they don't want to do that immediately. They still have the same nice unit, but now they also have the ability to have a modulating fireplace, whatever their desires are later, or maybe a thermostat for heat. Just
without having to take the entire unit out and replacing it.
Correct.
Yeah, these guys, and it's interesting because my next question was to be, you look at all the competition that's here at the show, and you've got the innovators of industries like the Rasmussens that have been around for over 100 years, and then you've got the knockoffs of those products, and then you've got that Asian contingent, good or bad or otherwise, isn't really necessarily a knockoff, but even they've taken that maybe to the next level, and a lot of that not understanding the real nuances of what goes on in these types of products. But with all those types of people looking to do business with someone like you, why do you end up here at Rasmussen? Is it because these are the first guys you talk to? I mean, you've got options.
No, I mean, there's several options. I could have switched many, many years ago, but Rhett and his group are always doing more to upgrade what they've done. The logs themselves are the most natural looking. They have a family tradition of using real logs to make the molds.
Right.
So that when you have that finished product, it's the best looking possible product that you can have. And then the electronic part of it is the next step that you don't see as a customer so much, but it's what keeps that unit going year after year after year. And most of the time, the most they have to do is clean it properly once a year, twice a year, or not twice a year, I'm sorry, every other year. You know, most of the time, that's all it takes to keep this unit going for years. Or change the batteries if it's a remote control.
It's a remote control. Yeah, that's one of the common threads that I hear from all of their dealers and all their retailers is that you really do put this thing in, and once you get it done and you're dealing with the right kinds of people, it's installed correctly, there really isn't any issues with these types of products. And if there are, it's resolved so quickly.
Right.
And it's funny because in doing a lot of the promotional material for Red and getting into their organization, when you talk about the natural lookingness of the logs, Red and his organization, they're known for walking into the forest and finding the best looking logs of every size and then bringing those back and literally replicating those versus finding a picture and trying to get someone to do a 3D rendering of it and then going from, it's not the same thing.
No. When you look at my business, 59 years old, and yet we're only about half the age of Rhett's business. You know, Rhett's fourth generation. I believe they're 103 years old now as a company. So we've got all that history that we can fall back on. Plus, again, with the staff they got there, all I have to do is call them if I've got a problem, and which are very, very few. Most of the time, like in our logs, we bring them in by the pallet usually.
Right.
And I don't need to mention a delivery service, but the only time I usually have a broken log is when I've had a delivery service bring it in, and they have the tendency to throw it.
Yeah, just throw it around.
Basically, otherwise, I just don't have problems with them because all their products have wires through the logs. So it's just like a cement highway where you have the wires and rods through there for making them that strong.
Yep. It's like building post-tension cable type slabs. I mean, these guys have really got an integral product.
Right.
You know, another thing I noticed in talking to a lot of the Rasmussen and Solaire dealers and retailers is that they speak on a personal basis about the owners and the founders of the company. There's relationships there.
Right.
And I find that interesting because the products that the consumer is buying, it's going into their home, and it's products for the relationship building of the family. That particular log set or fireplace set becomes a focal point of the home, the gathering of the home. It sparks those conversations. I know it does in my home with my children, and the grills are for that particular environment. But then that extends to the relationship with your guys' organization and Rhett's family, and there's that family communication and relationship thread from Rhett's organization all the way down through your organization, all the way down to the customers.
Right.
And that's, I think, intriguing to me because I don't see that much in most industries.
Right.
How does that play into, I think, what you guys do?
Well, I think I agree that that's the most important thing is in that relationship. I can pick that phone up if I need to talk to somebody. They know who I am, and I never, other than they're busy, but other than the fact that I can call and get immediate service if I really need it, although I don't need it very often. But sometimes you like to talk to them just to see what's going on.
Right.
And keep up to date on any changes or what's going on type of thing. But no, I have nothing but the most respect for Rasmussen.
What do you say to customers that are out there, prospects that are out there looking for these types of products? And if you had a friend call you and say, you know what, Dave, I'm on the other side of the world right now looking for one of these products, how do I know if I'm talking to the right kinds of people?
Well, for one thing, what I've done with in the internet, I'm not a computer guru by any stretch. So what I've done with our website is I go through and I list Rasmussen and the other fireplace companies that I deal with. So when somebody calls and is interested in a log or an insert, I have them go to our website. I have Rasmussen listed. So I tell them to click on to Rasmussen, and then I explain to them step by step, if they're as illiterate on the computer as I am, step by step how to get to where they're going. And then they also, Rhett now has little pictures there where they can actually see the logs burning, and it gives them a little, it's not the real thing, but it's darn close. And so at least they get an idea what I'm talking about when they go ahead and look at it. And especially people, like you say, they don't have to be that far away. I've got people 20, 30 miles away from us that call before they want to make the trip to come in.
Yeah, and I know that with Rhett, we've been filming so much video content on the practical side of the products, what they do, the interchangeable parts, how they function, things like that. And a lot of times I find that it's nice to be able to look on a site like that and really see the inside inner workings of what the products are all about from a consumer level. And I don't think most people do that.
Well, and one of the good things, with vented versus non-vented, in Illinois, you've got that choice. And we find a lot of people this past year have bought non-vented to put in a fireplace, an existing fireplace. We close their damper, put the little C-clamp on the damper so that there isn't anything from the non-vented appliance that will bother the customer. And then they also are getting heat from that unit.
Right.
Plus, these units will work if you have a power outage. So I have a lot of people that like them as backup heat source in case there is a power outage.
Interesting. That's interesting. One of the things I've always said, and I've heard from just mentors of mine over years in business, is that success leaves clues. It leaves residue. You guys have been in the industry for a long time, and the Rasmussens have been in the industry a long time. That should give people an indicator that working with someone that carries this particular line, they're dealing with people that have been here since the beginning of this industry. They understand it more so than anybody. But keys to success in your industry, what would they be?
Well, I still think service is the best thing, and having the knowledge of the products when the people come in the front door that do not know much about fireplaces. And some of them think they know something, but then you still go through, and then as you're going through, you say, do you understand this? And if they do, you continue on past that. But I think service still is the most important thing after you have the quality of product to give to the customer.
Right. What do you say to other dealers or other retailers that come up and say, how do you guys keep succeeding in the economic crunch and what's going on? How do you keep the business moving?
Well, needless to say, the last 3 years have been very tough, very tough. And you probably don't want to get me started on that. But it's again, you're going back to dealing with quality products, and people understand, I think, if they're either going to purchase something that lasts them for a very short time, then I'm probably not the person that they're going to come and talk to.
Right.
And if they're looking for something, even though they're watching their budget, but yet they want something quality that's going to last, in the long run, it's the cheapest way for them to go.
Right. It really is the difference. It's no different than real estate. If you've got a home that you're going to rent, you're going to put in carpet that will just do the job, knowing that it'll probably get destroyed over the course of 2 years. You replace it. You're not worried about it as much. But if it's your house, all of a sudden you're not looking in the remnant section. You're not looking at things that kind of match. You're going to the highest level, and I've said this in my books, that people purchase at the highest and make the best decision they psychologically can given their parameters.
Right.
Their mind won't allow them to do anything different. And that's very true here. You're right. It's a psychographic of people that you're dealing with. You want people that are doing something that can get to the highest quality level that they can, even on a budget, versus the folks that are just trying to throw something in there. And that seems to be the difference of whether you go to a specialty retailer versus just a big box. It's what do you actually care about what you put in your house?
Right.
And if you care, then you talk to people who care. And if you don't care, then go talk to somebody else.
I've even had people come in that are going to sell a home and have us replace the log set in the fireplace because of the quality of the look, because retailers or people that are selling the homes and they're out there, those marketers, they're telling them, that is an added feature, and especially if that fireplace is located in a prominent place of the home
Absolutely.
where the people spend their time.
Yeah.
So you're giving them something. It's like the front door. You always put a nice front door on a
Absolutely.
home. To me, inside, you go to a nice fireplace inside.
Yeah.
And if you have that, most people love a fireplace.
Oh, absolutely. It's primal.
Right.
You put fire out there in a campfire and everybody starts to gather. Here, last question for you. It's interesting as things have changed. We talk about how the family has been disintegrated in this country over years and years.
Right.
Even the concept of the family dinner is gone. And statistically, we know that families that eat together usually stay together as a whole. But that's difficult to do with busy schedules and things like that. But one of the things I've noticed, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I know in our family, I've got 6 of my own children, and the gal I'm marrying has got 4. So we've got a fairly large blended family. And with everything going on, iPads, homework, iPhones, games, music, everything, the kids can get off in their own space in that house and disappear and really fracture. But I know one thing: if we go into the living room, we flick that switch and those flames come on, it's not 10 minutes before everybody is there.
That's great.
And we may be doing different things, but we're there. And then 10 minutes later, people start playing around, they start having conversations, the guitars come out, and the next thing you know, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours later, and we've had quality time.
Right.
And I think that most people don't really look at something like that, the fireplace, and realize what a major impact it can actually have on the cohesiveness and synergy of a family. What do you say to that?
Oh, I agree 100%, because there's nothing like the warmth, mentally and physically, of a nice fireplace in a home. Carolyn and I enjoy ours. We have a Rasmussen log. We got tired of cutting wood years and years ago, so we've had a nice log set in there for all these years. What's nice, you go down, like you say, you flip the switch, so it's not too hard to start a fire.
Right.
And you have immediate ambience of a beautiful fire going in your fireplace.
Yeah, it really makes a difference, and I think people don't really realize the significance. This industry deserves a lot more publicity because of the impact that it creates in a home environment than I think most people realize. I've never seen anything, and I've written books about family, and I've never seen anything bring a family closer together faster than that. Yeah. It's pretty amazing, actually. So, Dave, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.